Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 538. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by the author of Dungeon Crawler Carl, rhymes with cinnamon, which is how I remember it, Matt Dinniman. Matt, it was great having you on last week. We're just recording again because it's the magic of podcasting. But so 5 minutes have transpired for us, but a whole week for them. How weird is it to kind of like talk about success in this kind of way, like this kind of interviewee way, when 4 years ago you were printing off Omnom art prints and like hoping for the best? Like, is it weird?
Well, first off, I'm glad that we're not pretending like it's really a week later
I
because
know.
I'm wearing the same shirt as
Same shirts. Same. It's laundry day. No.
Yes. No, it is weird. It's always I've been doing a lot of like weird businessy podcasts and
Yeah.
conferences lately, and which is a little bit outside of honestly, that's outside of my comfort zone because I'm not really used to talking business stuff. I talk panels and like a little bit about like writing from the craft side of it, which
Right.
I'll be happy to talk about all day long. But it still doesn't feel real to me in a lot of ways. The the success that I've personally had, and it's interesting when you look at it in an analytical. I think I did most things right. I did a lot of things wrong, but
Yeah.
but the important stuff that I did correct, and it wasn't an accident. Last week we talked a little bit about luck, and
Mm.
it kind of irritates me sometimes when people say that, wow, you got lucky. I don't think it is luck. My first book came out in 2003. So it took a long time for me to, find my stride, but
Yeah, 17-year overnight success, right?
yeah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's and I get it. I mean, like it's good though that I think you're stretching, you're talking about some of this stuff cuz I think it does bring to light that you did a lot right. You can pat yourself on the back for it a little, and um I think also I'll tell you, as, continuing down the line for my career, I look backward so often and I'm like, wait, why don't I do that thing anymore? And then it's like you'd start doing it again and it works. And you're like, oh, well, great. I'm glad I remembered that. And so I'm sure you've had some of those moments, and you'll have more as you keep writing, as you keep putting these out there.
I hope so. I'm doing my best.
Well, you can always call me. I'm happy to pick your brain for you, and get all the wisdom pulled out of there. Um Awesome. And as a reminder, Matt's website, mattdinniman.com, is new. I saw the Hello World post is still up. So
Yeah. I haven't
we'll
I had
get
someone else
there.
build it for me. I have to actually go in and figure out how to put my schedule on there and
Here,
all that stuff.
you can link this episode in the first
I
blog post.
will. I
Awesome.
will.
I love it. So a little bit of housekeeping here. The ad read. Are you a six-figure author? Because if you are, and you're looking to work less while scaling up, we've got a couple of fun options, including coaching, including done for you Amazon ads. So if you want to work less, maybe make more, maybe make the same, but working less is still good, email us, work less, in the subject line. Brian at sellingforauthors.com. That's Brian with a Y. Brian with an I was thinking I should get in case people misspell it, but I have not. Matt's a little easier to remember. But
Well, no.
people still mess it up.
Dinniman is hard. So
Dinniman is hard. Yeah. So
sorry, go on.
yeah, no. I brought that on myself. Email me, work less, and we'll let you know kind of what we have going. So, previous week's question, I'm definitely going to ask you this question, Matt, because people answered this question, which was, what could you do during your next 10 minutes of free time that doesn't involve a screen? Ellie Klaus said, knit, my current project. Artwork and Photography by Alex G. Zarate said, take pictures of the great outdoors. As long as it's not on your phone, Alex, because then that would be with a screen. Dana McNeely said, write in my journal, pet my cat, or daydream. I like it. Matt, what would you do if you had 10 minutes of free time and you were committed to not being on a screen? What would you do?
I'm a musician. I play the bass.
Hey.
I would pull my bass out, which is sitting in my car right now, and just play. And it's something I do. I actually listened to your episode that this question came from, and it is important to spend some time away from all of this,
Yeah.
because it's really easy to get burned out in this world, and you need
Yeah.
an outlet. And my band, I am in two bands, and that on its own has its own dramas and stress, but it's a separate drama, it's separate stress, and it's ostensibly fun. So,
Yeah, I like that. And that's awesome that you have that outlet. Yeah, I do a lot of soccer with my kiddo. We play we practice a lot, and then when we were on her first team ever, there was of course drama with that and stuff with that too, but at
I've
least
been there.
it's different drama. It's different
Yes.
drama, and that there's some value there. Awesome. You can answer the question of the week at Sellmore Book Show After Party Facebook group, sellmorebookshow.com as well. Let's get into the top story of the day. Audibly Confused. Audible has new payment terms, but it's too early to see what impact these will have on authors, says Jane Friedman in her Hot Sheet newsletter. Audible, citing their creator-centric ethos, announced a new just need a second after that. Audible, citing their creator-centric ethos, announced a new royalty model that they say prioritizes equity, flexibility, and insight for creators, and that was formed after talks with authors and publishers. This pooling payment model, similar to how payments work in Kindle Unlimited, may not be what authors are hoping for. Quote, it would be naive to take Audible at their word, especially since the announcement describes a new pooling payment model, a model typically not advantageous for creators, says Jane Friedman. Friedman reports that the most notable change seems to be the payment of royalties for books listened to as part of the Audible Plus program. These were previously unpaid since the program gave readers unlimited listening without using credits. According to the website Payments, spelled Payments, in addition to a new royalty structure, the new business model will provide additional insights to publishers and creators, including monthly statements and royalty payments that support timely decision making, as well as additional insights about the impact of listening on their earnings. End quote. Currently, only publishers are invited to join. Audible says they will be providing information for ACX authors in the coming months. Look, I'm Clifton Strengths. I'm number 2 positivity. It's fun to try to extract positivity from creator-centric ethos changes of payment methods, but hey, at least there's payments going out for things that weren't being paid before, being paid on exposure. So that's a positive. All the rest of this, I have no idea. It seems like we've got a few months to figure out how it shakes out. What were your thoughts on this, Matt?
Well, up until now, I'm pretty well versed in Audible. I have books through ACX. I have books through Sound Booth Theater, which are sold on Audible. So, and I know the audiobook world pretty well. But as before now, you couldn't just say, "Hey, I want my book to be on Audible Plus," which is the free service that you would get without having to use a credit. If
Right.
you went through ACX, Audiobook Creation Exchange, in order to get your audiobook up there, it's up there. You don't really control pricing if you're not a publisher. Your book is one credit or whatever arbitrary amount they said it is.
Yeah.
And then that's their royalty structure. People who are in Audible Plus generally were publishers or they're via a publisher, and
Yeah.
there was some sort of deal that was made ahead of time where they got paid. I have noticed that some of the AI books are on Audible Plus, and I don't know anything about that, so I don't know how
Yeah.
that works. But I suspect it's going to end up being more like how Kindle Unlimited works on the KDP side, whereas
Yeah.
you can choose to basically put your book up for just a credit or part of the all you can eat plan, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what works best for people. And it's kind of interesting because when Spotify popped up with their audiobook plan, which is probably that plus the whole Brandon Sanderson thing is what prompted all this in the first place. The Spotify was, I believe, you get 15 hours of free
Hmm.
audiobooks, but the books that were selling best on Audible were the ones that were long, because one credit gives you either the book that's 3 hours long or the book that's 80 hours long,
Right.
just one credit. And we'll see what changes when this comes out and how it's paid out. Is it per minute or is it per book? We don't know. We have no idea. They haven't told us anything. So,
Right. That's interesting because the early days of KU, shorter books were actually better for a
mhm,
payout because it was per download, per borrow. And then Amazon realized, crap, people are gaming this system. So they changed it to the per page. And so it went from shorter things being incentivized to longer things being incentivized.
mhm,
And now in Audible, longer things are incentivized, but this could change that in some way, shape, or form. Uh, and how the AI audiobooks will fit into all of this with the beta. I think it's still even in beta, the AI audiobooks through KDP, how that's going to fit into those, if those are still part of a part of Audible Plus. We'll see how it all goes.
yeah.
Which is great for me asking this question to you, Matt.
Okay.
How do you see the audiobook landscape changing for authors over the next few years?
Oh man, that's kind of a big question. We have multiple ways this can change, and
Yeah,
I feel it doesn't it feel like we're like at a crossroads right now.
it does. Yeah.
So traditional audiobooks, like the ones that we all grow and love, and I'm a audiobook, I was gonna say slut, but I'm not supposed to swear in this program. I am an
Slut
audiobook.
seems fair for I don't think we'll get the explicit tag for that. Hopefully not.
I am an audiobook junkie. I listen to audiobooks all day long. If I'm not writing, I'm listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
Uh, and so we have the major ways to get audiobooks is Amazon is, I don't know what percentage of the market they are, but Audible, but it's a huge percentage. And then there's like the library system like Hoopla and stuff. And
Yep.
finally, we're getting Spotify is throwing their hat into the ring. Book Vault, which we talked about before, has an amazing audiobook app. You have
Mm,
creators like I work with Soundbooth Theater, who has their own app where they do these full audio dramas. And then we have the elephant in the room, the AI books, which I'm not a fan of. I think it hurts the audiobook community as a whole. But
mhm.
a lot of people, that's not what we're discussing. And a lot of people are embracing it. And as a result of that, I don't know if you've noticed, but on Audible, the number of available audiobooks has just skyrocketed.
Right.
And I don't know how that's going to change, especially now that it's easier to get an audiobook onto the market using things like AI instead of paying, $250 per finished hour for an audiobook. It's more competition is good in lots of ways, but as a reader, we don't want to make things more difficult for us to get from point A to point B. And
Right.
we'll see what happens, but audiobooks if you look at the numbers every year, they become more and more and more popular. For me personally, I sell it's almost identical. It's kind of interesting in terms of units of ebooks and physical books matches the same number of audiobooks And that's a little unusual, and because of that, the income from audiobooks is actually a lot higher, just because the amount of money you make from audiobooks. So we'll see what this whole new thing looks like. Um,
Yeah,
but let me ask you a question.
sure.
Do you think Brandon Sanderson's attempts to get authors more money from audiobooks will actually lead anywhere?
I mean, this was the hope that this story was going to be finally, because we've been waiting on it. Brandon
Right.
Sanderson said, "Hey guys, I talked to Audible. They listened to me, and we're going to see things." And then the thought was, this post, finally, we've got something. And it's like, well, this doesn't seem like it. So if this was it, if this change was what Brandon Sanderson essentially got for authors, and we really don't know if this thing is going to actually help authors or not, this kind of KU style pooling payment, then no, it doesn't look like it'll get anywhere. If there's something still coming, then maybe we will, but I'm starting to worry that this was what we got, and we're gonna be told, a la Caddyshack, you'll get nothing and you'll like it.
I'm a little optimistic.
That's good.
I I, I suspect, like all things, it's going to be well, but that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's it's just it'll be another thing for us authors to have to learn how to deal with, and some of us are going to learn how to use that to our advantage, and other people might get hurt by it. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Right. I've got a lightning round, so I
Okay,
need another
I'm ready.
lightning sound, my friend. Are you ready to deliver?
Okay. Well, like we said, it was 5 minutes since the last one, and
Yep.
I was put on the thing, so we'll go.
Ooh, that's good. That's
That's a
like
little too full. I wasn't expecting it to be that bloody.
you need a couple different cups that all have different amounts of liquid in them, and then play a little symphony. But I like that. That was the most Foley-esque sound we've had, and I appreciate it. Um, Matt, you travel to a lot of fan cons to meet readers all around the world. When in an author's career do you think they should consider doing this?
That's actually a really good question, because there's lots of reasons you go to a con. First and foremost, you would go to sell books. The problem is books are heavy. When you
Yeah.
fly with books, it tends to not be economically viable to do so unless you sell lots of books, and that's hard. If
Yeah.
you can drive there, then that changes the whole ball game and all the
Mm,
math and stuff. But for me personally, I don't do it just to make money. I usually don't make money. I'm lucky if I break even. I'm
yeah.
there to, first off, I do this interaction with Brian is like the only human interaction I'm going to have other than my bandmates all week, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
I'm like an introverted extrovert, or extroverted, whatever it is, but I need to go and see people, talk to people. And there's two types of conventions. I go to author conventions to learn, and then the fan conventions where I can meet the fans. So one, you go when you can afford it.
Mm,
Two, if you can't afford it, ask yourself, well, what am I going to get out of it? If it's an author convention, there's networking, there's actually learning stuff, which I put kind of lower on the list, honestly, because this community, I've said it before, is small.
yeah.
And the more people you never know what sort of opportunities might arise just from who you know. One of the earlier 20 Books conferences, when it was at a different casino, I actually sneaked into a party that I wasn't invited to. And I met some guys, speaking of audiobooks, I met some of the guys from Tantor Audio, and they ended up buying my book because of that. And I don't
Hmm.
recommend breaking into places you don't belong, but you never know what sort of interactions could be helpful. And so I don't recommend, you know, putting yourself in the negative in your bank account to go. But if you can't afford it, it's super helpful to your career.
Yeah.
And it's good to refill, the cups in your body, your social media. It's good to know who's who in the community. I find it really helpful. But let me ask you a question that I
Sure.
just thought of on my own, and it's not written on here on my
Definitely
screen.
not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, what should an author keep in mind when going to an event to get the most out of it?
I think the biggest thing I can think of with an event is try not to overbook yourself. I see some people scheduling wall to wall meetings or planning to go to every single panel, and
Hmm.
then you're just like burnout, and you don't let like organic things happen. Like I remember having a really good, like I almost didn't come to that speaker dinner thing. I didn't know it was important. But I got to chat with you, got to chat with several other people who I've connected with since. And it's like, oh well, I'm glad I didn't like skip something that could have been really valuable. But like I remember at the last 20 books, I really scheduled very few things. And as a result, like I would run into people while working out and like that led to chats. I would just like, hey, you want to go to dinner? Like me and some person, and we'd go to dinner and it, like at in Colorado at the Superstars, I
Hmm.
just kind of like bided my time and like started getting a thing together like, hey, let's all go to lunch in the snow. And we ended up getting this group of like 14, 15 people to all be led to their doom at some empty restaurant that was actually great. And that led to several things that I've done. Like, uh, uh, I ended up meeting someone who did a Shopify store for me at that lunch. And so it's like, you never know, but you have to leave yourself open because if you schedule yourself wall to wall, those kind of organic things don't happen.
It's such a lonely career, so
Mm,
it is important to find your tribe whatever way you can.
yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. So, we're pivoting, Matt. Did you ever think
Okay.
you'd create a universe with a wiki and memes? And what do you think makes a book meme worthy?
First off, I didn't even I knew I was aware that there was a wiki for Dungeon Crawler Crawl, but I made a point of not going to it. My own I have my own database that I hired someone to do, and I went to the wiki just yesterday for the first time in a long time, and I was like shocked that there's 1,200 pages, like 1,200 separate entries and all
Yeah.
this stuff. And it's insane, and most of it is right because I was clicking through some things. And I had to resist. The reason why I don't go is I have to resist the urge to edit it. But it's crazy. I didn't expect. I knew that the book, if I can get enough eyes on it, it would do pretty okay. But I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
Um, what makes a book like this become popular? A part of it is just the structure of the book. Different
Mm.
genres tend to have more people talking about them in like a water cooler sort of way. Did you ever watch the show Lost, for example?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see that when it was coming out, it was like the biggest thing. It was this big mystery. It was an adventure. Nobody knew what was going on, but they liked watching it. They liked talking about it. That's sort of it's not the only aspect that makes things go viral, but it's that particular aspect is super helpful for me personally. People like to gather and discuss the characters, the
Mm.
mysteries, the questions, and that sort of thing lends itself to community building. Yeah, and that's not the only way books can get popular. There's uh like the Rebecca Yarros Fourth Wing stuff that just
Oh man.
happened to just go crazy on TikTok with book talk.
I hear there's
And
a series coming out now.
I
There's going to
saw
be a
I saw
show.
that.
Yep. Yep.
And this stuff can happen either really fast or really slow. And it for that particular book, it happened really, really, really fast. And you ask 100 different books authors who happen to have books that have gone so-called viral, you'll get 100 different answers. So
Yeah.
Uh, but
Speaking
so let
of.
me ask you a question.
Yes,
You can't
yes.
you can't force something to go viral, but you can advertise a whole bunch. Can you ever mimic viral success through advertising?
So we've played around with this. Author ad agency run a lot of ads. I've run a lot of Facebook ads. The agency doesn't run Facebook ads yet, though I'm thinking about it. Doesn't run TikTok ads yet, but I'm thinking about it. Um, I don't think you can fully replace virality with ads, but we have found that when virality is paired with ads, there is a really like the ceiling is pretty much unlimited. Because if you can get something that's already going viral on TikTok and then you throw ads to it, suddenly people are like, this happened with a client just the other month. They're like, wait, is this the book I keep seeing? They're always saying that sort of thing. Is this the book I keep seeing? Because I'm seeing it on TikTok, which is where it's going viral. And then they're like, I see it on Facebook and I see it on Amazon. And if they're seeing the ads in addition to the viral stuff, then it's just they can't escape it. And that's like I feel like it already goes past the tipping point to a certain extent with the virality. But when you layer enough ads on top, like I know with your Kickstarter campaign, you had a company also helping to
Mhm.
push the crap out of it. It's probably the same thing. Like it was already going to do really well. And then you have this company also pushing it everywhere. And
Right.
suddenly it's just like you can't escape it. You have to become a part of this movement of this project. And so I don't think you can mimic it, but I definitely think you can boost something that is already viral.
All right.
So when this is like our last one, I feel like maybe I should have done it in a different order. I guess it feels like kind of a downer compared to all these cool answers we're getting, but I don't know. Matt, when did you decide to start offering merch for Dungeon Crawler, Carl? Because a lot of authors talk about merch. They're like, maybe I should make a shirt.
Hmm.
Are you surprised by what sells the most from that merch?
I I come from kind of a merchy style background, and like I said, I used to do corporate advertising ages
Yeah.
ago, and so that's in my wheelhouse. Getting things made, getting someone else to send it for me. Again, we talked last week. We talked about fulfillment being
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
major pain in the butt, but so having merch available has always been important to me, and I've had people before I started doing Dungeon Crawler Carl merch. People were asking me, "Hey, where can I get a T-shirt?" And then I started seeing people making their own stuff,
Hmm.
and then not necessarily selling it, though some people were. They were just showing up to events. Like, look, I made this Princess Donut, who's a character,
Yeah.
shirt. And I'm like, you know what? I better start selling my own stuff. And I now make six figures selling
Hmm.
just merch for my book series.
That's
Barely
awesome.
six figures, but
It counts. It
it
counts as
counts.
soon as it ticks over. That's amazing, man. What sells the most?
Right now it's t-shirts because my store doesn't have what I had before, but one of the things that sold the most was a mug I had that it's just a regular mug, and it's just a quote from the book, and it says, "Did we just start a meth war between the goblins and the llamas?" Question mark. And that's all it was. It completely doesn't make any sense if you're not familiar with the book, and it's silly and weird. And I sold so many of those mugs.
That's amazing. See, now people are like selling those on the black market to like because you
They're
don't sell them anymore. They're like,
right.
there's only 100 left in stock in the world.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. So, Matt, we got to come up with another question.
Ugh.
We I know you don't even need to come up with the full question yourself. You could say like a general subject, and I'll make it. But we could talk about Audible. We could talk about cons. We could talk about meme worthiness, virality. Talk about merch. Really, anything that's on your mind. What do you think?
Okay.
This is the most stressful thing in your week. I feel bad.
It is. Okay, let's talk a little bit about viral success. Like
Okay.
what was your personal what is a viral goals to you as an author, something along those lines? Because
Yeah.
for me personally, I've talked about this before. I have kind of like this thing where I'm always moving the goalposts. I always crazy imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
and I never like what thing could happen that you would consider success in your career or in terms of as an author, I guess.
Yeah. Like what thing would happen that you could consider viral success beyond your wildest dreams?
Beyond just selling, X number of books.
Yeah. Your wildest book dreams. Awesome. I love it. Great question. I'm gonna put that at the top of my hair, a little document there. You can answer the question at sellmorebookshow.com or the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Matt from mattdinniman.com here. You're working on the latest, right? Or it was about
Yeah,
to come out.
if it's going to come out in October, hopefully.
Nice. This is number 7.
Number 7 in the series. I
Yeah.
also have a standalone novel that I sold to Ace Berkeley, just straight trad. They have all the rights, and I have to turn that in January, and I'm working on that as well. So
Awesome.
no
Keeping
pressure.
busy.
Yes,
Keeping
exactly.
busy. Procrastinating that by coming over and hanging out with me.
I know, right?
I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it. This has been great. I'm really glad you were able to drop by, Matt. Thank you for everything.
Hey, anytime.
Oh, appreciate it. If you need to procrastinate more, just
I'll
come
call
on
you.
over. I'll be here. Awesome. Well, I'll just remind six-figure authors, if you want to, work less, email me. Work less. We'll work on it either through coaching or our Amazon ads agency. Email me at brian@sellingforauthors.com. I feel like I should say it again. Work less. But for Matt, I'm Brian. I am really looking forward to our next guest host. We're lining them all up right now. They're all going to be great. And I hope you have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we'll be back next week for episode 539. Bye.
Bye.